Are we live? Yes, we are live. Let me put on some music. I want to show you something that I see in the charts on the 5 minute. There are some quite interesting patterns, and I wanted to talk about it real quick because I see some power in those patterns. Okay. So this is the chart, the 5 minute Bitcoin chart, and I redrew many of the lines that we had. So when I woke up, I saw this first line. Let me make the line that I'm talking about a little bit thicker. And so this trend line, I saw this black, it's number 1, we have number 2 and number 3. So the number 1 trend line, let's make it really thick, is on the 5 minute chart. I just connected the tops of this, and usually my strategy is what I'm testing right now is basically the idea that you don't need any indicators, nothing, no market cipher, not even RSI, no market liberator. All you most probably need is just these trend lines on the chart. Let's say, for example, we are on the 5 minute. You connect these tops, and as soon as you see the breaking of this trend lines, like here, you kind of can expect that it's gonna go up. Before this moment, I was focusing more on the 4-hour chart, daily chart, and 1-hour chart to draw these lines. But right now, I'm looking more into the 5 minute charts, and I see almost the same story, that it works just almost the same, like on higher time frames. So when I woke up today, I was quickly looking at this. I was monitoring this trend line, this number 1, and said that if we break it, and it probably will go higher. And I thought it to myself, but I wanted to observe it as well, so I didn't open anything. And sure enough, look, if after we closed a 5 minute above this number 1 trend line, we retested it. We hacked, made out with it a little bit, and then we went up, and we even created a double bottom on the way up there. So this is like a double bottom, and this double bottom went on and broke as well. Then it went down and went up, and created basically a new structure, kind of a channel or rising wedge. Oh, I'm so horrible at doing this. So anyways, after breaking this, it went up. So it works on the 5 minute chart probably the same as on the 4-hour and 1-hour time frame. It's quite reliable. It's so cool. I didn't open the short right here, a long right here, because I had my doubts, and I wanted to see how it plays out, and I was also thinking maybe I need to check on higher time frames and so on and so on. But probably this is all you need. Like if you open a chart on any time frame, like 5 minute, you just make it quite visible, and then you draw all these lines and trend lines, and as soon as they break, you're probably good to go. So yeah, that's interesting that it plays out almost the same like on higher time frame, and you don't need any indicators actually. And then also, as the price is progressing, we also create new trend lines. So this was the first trend line that I saw in the morning, and I didn't trade, but now it broke out. The second one is the second trend line is this one that appeared later. Let me make it thick again as well. So the second trend line appeared we drew it before as well. We could draw it because we just connect these two highs. If you look back, like if we are at this point, when I woke up, when I was analyzing, I was at this moment, at this hour, and these two lines I could draw instantly, and I could basically predict where the price would bounce next time, or if it breaks out, what happens. So after breaking out of this trend line number 1, I almost could predict that there will be some bounce action at this point, because look, somewhere along this trend line, it's very logical that it will just bounce. And after we created this new bounce, we could also draw the third trend line. This is this one. Let me make it thick as well. So this is number 3 trend line. We connect this, this, and this, and we basically have a rising wedge right now again. So it's very beautiful how the price, the Bitcoin price, just respects all these trend lines. It seems almost like it's happening more often than not, that it just obeys these trend lines, and they are simple. So right now, for example, we touch this line 3 times right now, here, 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 and for the 4th time right here. And now we just look for this trend line to hold or break. And yeah. And if we break this line right here somewhere, then we might find a little bit of support of this by this big red line. But this red line does not mean that we bounce exactly at this line, because we can wick down below it very easily, like we often do. This red line, I believe, is the 1 hour support or something. Yeah, 1 hour and 50-minute support if we just connect these. So we don't have to bounce immediately from it. We might very well. So what I'm talking about is, if we break this trend line right here, this other black line, let me call it number 4. If we break this trend line, right, number 4, somewhere here, for example, if you break it, then we most likely will bounce somewhere in this area, but not exactly at this point. I think we will first wick below it, like this maybe, and then go back up. This is, I think, the most likely scenario, just like it did here. And that means that if we open a trade right here, after we see a close below it of 5-minute close below this trend line, it might be quite a good position to open the short trade, a little short scalp. And after we break down, we would also have this neckline of this W, a double top. And if the price goes below it, then we could also talk about a target, something like this. Yeah, it means that we probably would wick down to these levels, which would be the previous low, and then just go back up from there. So overall, what I wanted to talk about in this little live stream is the power of these trend lines. look, we broke this first trend line in the morning and we are going up. And how much is it? Look, if we break here, then let's say if we would open a trade on the retest somewhere here, so it would be 1%, 1 point something percent. It's not bad for a scalp. So you would have to wait a little bit, like, okay, wait, how much was it? Maybe. Okay, it would be like 4 hours, almost 5 hours to wait. But why not? Let's also think where the stop loss would be if we would open the trade right here after this first breaking of this first line. The stop loss would be, I think, at the last low, maybe somewhere here. All right. What's also interesting is that we have created this second resistance line right here, and we broke above it. So first we broke about this number 1 trend line. Now we broke about this number 2 trend line right here. And actually we could have opened a long trade here after the retest, or at least somewhere here. And then we would have to wait a bit, and it probably will continue go up. Let's see. Let's analyze this number 2 trend line. Let me make these lines a little bit thinner, like this, so they distract a little less. Okay, so we have this number 2 trend line that has been broken, and right here we found support, bounced off of it, and yeah, now I'm asking myself how strong it is. And interestingly, if we follow this trend line number 2, this is exactly the confluence point of great support. So probably even if we break this, we might wick below it very quickly and then go up again. So, but right now I'm asking myself how far to the upside can we expect this structure to take us. So we had this, then this. So basically it almost looks like a reverse head and shoulders, and the proper, if we treat it as a head and shoulders, then the target would be somewhere here, 38,200. Well, interesting. But it's not as beautiful of head and shoulders because the head is a little bit too small compared to the first shoulder. So I'm asking myself this question right now. If you have some ideas or questions or suggestions, let me know. So for me the question is, if we hit this target of this broke out head and shoulders, or if we fake out and go down. Yeah, I think one of the best confirmations for this breakout would be if we go above this neckline here, which is the top of this rising wedge, because this would also give us a nice W, you see, Oh, sorry. It would be a nice W right here. So if we break somewhere here, something like this, oh, yeah, then the target would be for this little W would be this. Yeah, it would be looking good. So yeah, I think right now what we need to do, we need to look for a breakout of above this little rising wedge resistance line, and of course monitor this action here, because if this double top plays out and we break down, then we probably wick down below it before we go up. Either way, we have to wait and see. So these are the 2 points I'm looking at. If we break below this or that line, these are the 2 points I'm looking in the next 25, 45, 60 minutes. This is what I'm looking at. So that's it. I just wanted to show you the power of the trend lines also on the 5-minute chart, and let's see what Bitcoin will show us regarding of these 2 points if we break this or this level. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching.